Wang Wuyong, Will. Knowledge and understanding of engineering. You explained well the dynamical response of tall buildings in Hong Kong under extreme wind conditions. How the overturning forces in the superstructure columns and walls were carried through the transfer plate to the different arrangements below. And thence to the piled foundations. How the analysis was carried out by a series of elastic models, including the spring stiffness of the piles. How you always carried out a manual sense check of the computer analysis by, for example, ensuring the applied loads were in equilibrium with the reactions. This is on the Homelin 3 17-story block development. Your reviewers were satisfied that you met the requirements of this attribute. Stop. Technical and presentation of engineering. New line. You explained well how the thickness of the transfer plate was determined by shear and flexural considerations. How this resulted in such a large volume of reinforced concrete to be placed in one pour, open brackets, which had environmental effects on the local population, close brackets. You developed with the contractor a placing sequence that split the pour into two layers and introduced a third layer of reinforcement at half height to control the shrinkage of the first layer. New line. How the permanent works design incorporated temporary fixings to take the load from the tower cranes used in the construction of the blocks. Stop. Your reviewers were satisfied that you met the requirements of this attribute. 3. Management and leadership. You said that in the course of design work, you managed several junior engineers and 2 draftsmen. Stop. You described well how you dealt with differences in engineering opinion within the groups by either free discussions of the issues and reaching a consensus, or by putting forward your own ideas and inviting the others to criticize them and or come up with alternative proposals which could then be New line. You explained how you adopted a similar approach on site when dealing with problems or contentious issues. When dealing with poor performance, as opposed to differences of engineering judgment, and the above approach did not work, you would with regret arrange for the person concerned to be transferred or removed, as it would otherwise have a disrupting effect on the morale and attitudes of the rest of the team. Stop. Reviewers are satisfied that you met the requirements. 4. Independent judgment and responsibility. When developing the split pour method of the transfer slab described in number 2 above, you exercised your own judgment and came to a conclusion in your own capacity. Stop. You explained how, if a difference of opinion arose between you and your manager, supervisor, you would seek to resolve matters in a similar manner using a similar approach as described in 3 above, and that because of your stronger structural engineering skills, you were often able to persuade your manager to your point of view. Your reviewers were satisfied that you met this attribute. 5. Commercial ability. In the course of your work, you managed variations cost control, programs and extensions of time on a regular basis. However, when questioned by your reviewers, you are unable to discuss the form of contract under which the projects on which you were engaged discuss or describe the forms of contract used on the projects on which you were engaged, other than to say that they had been lump sum contracts. You were not able either to differentiate between construction contracts and open brackets design close brackets services contracts, the difference between fitness for purpose and reasonable skill, care and diligence, and what professional indemnity insurance covered. You always carried out your design and supervision under duties conscientiously and skillfully, but when asked what might be the consequences of a design error that led to work being rejected and or reconstruction of the affected parts, you seem just to be of the view that this would lead to a loss of design fee rather than claims of negligence on the PII. Reviewers were not satisfied that you met the requirements of this attribute. 6. Health, safety and welfare. As well as the usual site health and safety welfare concerns, proper induction, correct PPE, regular site safety inspections, briefings and toolbox talks, you always separately briefed junior engineers visiting the site and had not incurred any reportable incidents or delays due to accidents. You were aware of the design for safety approach used in Hong Kong, and always tried to ensure that your buildings were designed for safe constructability and maintenance. New line. Reviewers were satisfied that you met the requirements of this attribute. 7. Sustainable development. Although you were aware of the 3 cornerstones of sustainable development, namely environmental, social and economic, your contribution seemed to be limited to construction operations, such as minimum materials weight in the design, using recycled materials for fill and or aggregate for concrete, and the use of reusable aluminium formwork. However, you seemed unaware or uninterested in carbon neutral buildings, reducing energy consumption for cooling by appropriate facade forms, or of the social costs and benefits of high-rise, high-density housing as used in Hong Kong, as is common in Hong Kong. Reviewers were not satisfied that you met the requirements of sustainable development as might be expected from a chartered civil engineer. Stop. Line, interpersonal skills and communication. Reviewers found your report clear and well written as far as syntax was concerned, although there were a lot of minor grammatical mistakes, which should have been eliminated by careful checking by yourself and by anybody who was down to check the report. Stop. You spoke clearly and well at your interview and answered your reviewers' questions well on those attributes with which you were familiar and or competent. Stop. Reviewers were particularly impressed with your response to questions on gender diversity and similators, and the avoidance of discrimination or inappropriate behaviour and managing discrimination or inappropriate behaviour by others reporting to you or with whom you were regularly in contact. Stop. Reviewers were satisfied that you met the requirements of this attribute. New line, professional commitment. You did not know and seemed unaware of the ICE or I-Struct-T Professional Code of Conduct and its provisions. Stop. Apart from CPD seminars, you did not seem to take much interest in ICE or I-Struct-T affairs, extracurricular talks or presentations, or outside of your job obligations, the training and mentoring of junior engineers. Reviewers were not satisfied that you satisfied the requirements of the attribute professional commitment. Stop.